I'm going to take you through the full suite. This is going to include both taking you, bringing your first-party data to Reach and what you can do with it, as well as generating audiences within Reach. Why don't we start with the idea of bringing a first-party list? So call up menu on the left-hand side here, pretty simple. Home will bring you to your initial workflows. I call these your audience modules. Projects is where you store all of your lists. You can group them into basically a file folder. We see some clients do this either by customer or by segment. You'll find whatever works best for you. Commonly clients, if they're working on with an active project, they can just click the star to keep it relevant. My project folder has like 50 folders, so I make a strong use of the favorites here, only so I can know what clients are most active to me, and then I can filter it just down to the favorites. So it helps me kind of archive the stuff that I'm no longer working on and stay focused on the list that I do need. So that's the favorite projects here, just using the stars. And then relatively new for us is the ability to save personas. When you are segmenting, it's important to know what you've done in the past so you can understand what you need to change in the future. When we get into the persona building module, I'll show you how to save them, but we allow you to save your personas here so that you can just keep track of them. And then two other resources here, the help, this little live desk will take you to our documentation. This is really thorough. It's great reading before you go to bed because it will put you right to sleep, but it is very thorough if you need it. The better one I like to refer people to is the how-to videos. They're short 2-minute videos on how to do very specific workflows, and I'll send a link over there. Lastly, just in terms of navigation here, up in the top right-hand corner is your account settings. This is where we hide suppression and opt-out. So we have global exclusion or global opt-out, where you can upload a CSV file of anyone that you never want to be included in any audience. Additionally, we can upload an individual suppression lists where you can suppress one audience from another.
All right, Hayden, can you give us an example where we would want to do that?
So for global exclusion, an example would be, let's say you have a list from your marketing automation platform of people who have opted out of your emails. You may consider uploading them as a global exclusion so they're never advertised to you for any of your clients. We built it in there for CCPA compliance so that you can filter out anyone who has been opted out through CCPA. Suppression we see a lot more often, especially when it comes to persona or updating a list. Most commonly, if I run an ABM audience in January and I want to see the net changes in that audience, I run it again in May. I can suppress the initial list from the current list so that I'm not double tapping into some of those target audiences. The first and most common workflow when it comes to bringing your own data. So if you have a list of business emails, first names and last names, and you either want to convert that into an online audience so you can take it onto Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, or you want to get insights from it, that's what these first two modules will be here. So this is bringing your own data. When it comes to creating an online audience, you're going to come to us with your business data in a CSV format with one of these combinations of columns here. The best ones to include is when you have first name, last name, email address, and a location. Location helps us understand, it helps us kind of separate one John Smith from the other John Smith. But the most important part for us here is having a domain and a first name, last name. So any one of these will work, but this option number 5 here, I've noticed produces the best results when it comes to actually finding these people. When it comes to bringing your own list, you can either use a new list here for your own CSV imports. Using an existing list will convert an audience that you've already created. And the easiest one is import from HubSpot. So with this, you'll click on import from HubSpot. They just have a simple single sign-on here. So you'll log into HubSpot through Reach. That will initiate the handshake between the two. And you are able to import any static list from HubSpot directly into Reach. So no dynamic lists, only static lists. But when you do that, the fields will map over automatically. And we can set that up for you in another session if you have trouble, but very easy just to connect to HubSpot here. Highly suggest it. Super easy to bring over your own static list directly from the platform. For this example, though, I'll be using a new list here. CSV list of leads actually that our BDR has put together for us. So there's about 46 individuals on this list that they had hand prospected that we'll be running a programmatic display campaign against. So I'm going to use that as an example here. First thing we'll do is map the fields of your file to the fields within Reach. Reach does a good job of guessing at the very first one, so you can see it will do business name, first name, last name, job title, and corporate email. If, for instance, it automatically maps something that you don't need to use, like job title isn't as important for us, so I can click on the drop down here and just go to ignore field. Commonly, we'll see business name and business domain will get dropped around there, so just be careful that you are using business name when you have the name and domain when you're using the URL. On the right-hand side here, it tells us fill rate. One of the things that we see commonly when you're getting a first-party list from one of your clients is they may not have a complete data set, and that will ultimately affect your ability to get a good match within Reach and then downstream a good match within Facebook. So the first thing I look at here is the fill rate, just to make sure I have all the names, have all the emails. If these were below 50%, that's obviously an opportunity to fill that in and improve the match rate. But right here, I see I have a complete list, and I have 46 records in this list. So I'll hit next. The next thing we do here is just a little file management. I can either select a project from the dropdown, or if there's not one created yet, I could go Hayden's example, just type in the name here, and it will create a new project folder for me. At this point in time here, this is where you can manage your suppressions as well. So if you had uploaded a list, say of your global opt-outs, you would select it here to exclude it from this specific audience. All right, so jumping back here for creating an online audience, we had uploaded a file, we had mapped the corresponding headers, we put it into a project, which is what we're doing here. Next thing I would do is hit create. And what this is going to do is begin, it's going to take your list through our identity graph. So it's going to look at the domain, the name, the location, all the data it's given us, and attempt to find the personal contact points. These are personal phone numbers, emails, social handles, or alternative addresses. And we are going to append those there. In addition to that, we have a whole host of demographic information that we will aggregate in order to show you the list insights. So I'll pop over here. We'll never share, any one record's demographic information, but we will give you the aggregated insights both for firmographic and demographic. The first section, everything in blue here, is the firmographic information. This will give us insights to the company size, the industries that they're in, the size of the companies based off of their revenue and or the employee size. One of the common ones we look at is the top industries in the here. I also have a lot of clients that are interested in looking at the top roles or departments, and more specifically the job titles. One way to do this is if you have a list or you think about, it's all at the same company or all at the same industry, plugging it in here to kind of validate that is definitely a great first stop just to help you build some trust in it here. But we're confident that the information we're presenting here is accurate and insightful. As you scroll down, we'll get out of the blue section and into the kind of this electric purple. This is kind of a unique advantage with Reach is you get information on the people at those companies. So this is all of the demographic information, telling us where the people are located, how old they are, where education levels, generation, household income. A lot of times what we'll use or our clients will use this to help influence the creative that they're going after, mostly around the generational information. Something to a 28-year-old like me is going to land a little differently than to maybe someone that's in their 50s or 60s. So take the time, that's insight that you can't really get from your CRM. So definitely lean on this for that. We don't have a way to export this at the moment. What we will have coming is a shareable link. So if your clients are interested into who they are advertising to, you'll be able to provide some insights to them using a shareable link. But from the most time now, you are able to take screenshots of this and share that with your client. We will automatically generate insights for any list that you create here. It looks like our online audience has finished processing here. So I have 46 records, and for those 46 records, I have 173 contact points. My first reaction when I look at these is to look at the ratio of contact points to records. If it's, I would say success is like anywhere from 3 to 5. So let's say we have just a little, maybe 4 times as many contact points as we do records. If you see that ratio get down closer to 1 to 1, that means we didn't do a good job matching. Typically, we'll have at least 1 phone number, 1 email, and 1 social handle for every person. So just I like to call out the number of contact points as a derivative of the number of records in there, and just using that to get a good gut check to make sure that Reach actually did its job. So with this online audience, we have these contact points here. You'll see again the insights down through here. You have the ability, using these 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, to create a lookalike audience off of your online audience you created, or to create an account-based audience using the domains that were in that list. So this quick action drop down here gives you very easy access to create additional audiences. So, and then in this case here, I like the insights. I'm okay with the ratio of contact points. I'm going to export this audience to show you guys what the different file formats are. So when you export an audience by clicking this green button, it's going to give you a zip file. So in this file are 7 CSVs, each formatted and optimized for a specific ad platform. AdRoll is a common programmatic. I think they are, if you're not familiar with AdRoll, definitely check them out. They are one of the least expensive platforms to get in for programmatic. They don't have the $5,000 threshold to get in. So we have a format specifically for them, one specific for Facebook. And I can show you if we click into these. Facebook's really good at ingesting a lot of information and trying to triangulate who that person is. So we give it as much as we can. In this case, it's up to 3 emails, up to 3 phones, first name, last name, and then their location. And you can see all of this is in an encrypted format. So there's no issue of like actually dealing with someone's personally identifiable information. All of this is encrypted in SHA-256. So Facebook can ingest this as it is, but you can have the file in your computer without worrying about any CCPA or compliance issues. In contrast, if we were to look at the LinkedIn file, LinkedIn just wants a stack of email addresses. So you'll see we have 1 column, each with its own email address, and about 136 unique email addresses that we found for these 46 individuals. All right. So we also have a generic one that's also all emails and phone numbers. Google has a, even more than Facebook, has up to 5 phone numbers, 5 emails, and 3 social handles. And then we give you the original file, which is just there to help understand match rates. So this is just the business information. Some of our clients will compare, as they're validating Reach, we'll use this to, what would my match rate be with just business info versus using one of the optimized files, and what would our match rate be with that? The Google file, so with Google's display network and Google's custom audience customer match, they have some prerequisites for your account. The main one being that you've had $50,000 of spend in the last year. So they put that in there as a way to get rid of the troll accounts and all of the superfluous accounts. So yeah, your customers will have to have had, I think Google's threshold is 50K in order to leverage the custom audience. But for the customers that you do have it with, Google just does a CSV upload. It will automatically map the fields. I can send you a link for their documentation on that. But that's how they use it for Google Displays Network. And that's across Google, Gmail, and YouTube. They also recently started their own programmatic network. I'm not super savvy with it, but I do have one customer that's began using it because they don't qualify for the spend levels of like a LiveRamp or the Trade Desk. So you can use Google's programmatic network, but I'm still getting brushed up on that. I want to jump over to the account-based audience here. This is when you have a list of domains or a list of business emails that we can derive the domain from. I can click into account-based audience. I can import files, bring my own CSV list, use an existing audience, or import directly from HubSpot. In this case, we're going to either use a business name domain directly, so this is just a web URL, or if you have somebody's business email, we just extract the domain from their email. We can see that it has all of their information. So in this instance, all I need is the domain. I'm going to ignore everything else. Now, I think you had about 1,000 individuals on this. We don't break out exactly how many domains that could be, but for your subscription level, we're going to limit this to 100,000 contacts. This is an artificial limit that we have in place there. So if you have a client that has a bigger list and you need, say, 200 or 500,000, just let me know and we can increase that for you for a short period of time so that you can satisfy the list. But you should be trying to find a more targeted audience and fewer people. The ways that we do that is giving you a couple different filters here. Title seniority is something that we had previously. New since that you've probably seen this ABM module last is role and department. So as you mentioned, you're looking for C-suite decision makers at your companies here. I'm going to add senior executives and VPs. And the next level of filtering I can do is at the role or department level. So this is if you're trying to find, administrators or the finance department, marketing departments. You're going to use this this filter here. So role and department. And let's say for this example, we're just going to go specifically for marketing and sales and development here. So you can see we're whittling this down to a very, very small audience. Some of our customers will, just create a bunch of segments here and then combine them together when they take into an ad platform. Or you can, if you wanted to, leave this a little more general. The next step is a location filter here. I'm just going to call it the difference. We can filter on when you select a state. So it's at the state level. When you select a state, you can choose if that's the company's headquarters state or the actual location of the people. So if you're trying to identify, not Nike in Oregon at their headquarters, but Nike in New York, you can use that using these filters here. We give you the ability to actually filter on, like, I only want max, let's say 50 people per company. That's where you would insert this here, and it's going to randomly choose 50 people at that company. This is kind of a last-ditch effort to get a list size down, is just filtering on the number of people. Typically, segmenting by title is a better strategy to go with. Yep, on the right-hand side here, I will get a list of just a small preview of the different titles and domains that are in this specific list. And I'll show you how you can get a more robust example set here. So go to the next step here, just gonna drop this into my example folder. So what this is doing is taking the list of domains from your original list, finding all of the people at those domains, and then filtering it down to the specific titles and departments that we were looking for. When you create an audience within Reach, so if you're using the persona-based, the account-based, or the lookalike, you're always going to have to create an online audience next. So any one of these three audience generators is going to find the business people. The online audience is what appends all of the personal information. So every one of these modules will end with the red icon. All right, so I can see I have the business list here. While this is processing, I'm going to go ahead and click online audience for this. I'm going to put it into the same folder. And this way I can get the actual audience I would take to the ad platform. So here's where I'm going to get the information. So what I clicked on there was the red icon to create online audience. Just below that is the export audience preview. I like to show customers how to use this because it helps you understand and clarify the right titles and businesses in this list. So I can open this up here. We should see an Excel spreadsheet. So within this, you're going to see the titles at the specific companies, and then the location of the headquarters here and the location of the people in this corner here. So you can see, even though the company's headquarters is in, looks like Switzerland for most of these, we've brought back the people in the US. Yeah, I clicked on VPs and senior executives. I can see based off of the titles here, pretty much hit the nail on the head. If I saw like business development representative, anything like that, I may go back and try to refine this. But I can check to see if these are the right companies, the right titles in the US here. I feel better about this. So a good little snapshot for that just to see who's in there. We do have we show an obfuscated email address just to show you that we have that contact information. All right, so that was our ABM audience here with 597 records. If we switch and see the online audience that was created from that, roughly 3,000 contact points from those 600 records. So that's about 5 contact points per record, the average there, which to me says, okay, this is great. We're going to have a good opportunity of having a great match rate when we bring this to the ad platform. And I would say that's typically the module that gives most companies the competitive advantage. No one out there like Facebook and LinkedIn can't do this. There's very few other tools out there that are able to do it with the accuracy and breadth that Reach can. So lean on this account-based audience generator. It's very powerful. Persona-based audience, this is a great complement to anyone's first-party data. If a client of yours or you understand their target demographic or their target prospect, we give you just a lightweight persona audience here, utilizing industry, employee count, sales revenue, and then the same job filter and role and department filters that you had seen previously. So all of the industry filters here are based off of an SIC code. I can come in here and put in a specific number, or I can scroll through, the list of 4,000 of these and hand select each independent one. The last one, the way that we have to do it, these purple ones are groups. And so if I was to do education, I think you can see like we've grouped education at the top here, and the individual SIC codes that make up that group will be shown below. Let's do restaurants in here. You'd think it would be restaurants. It's actually eating and drinking places. I'm going to use that just as the main example. So I can choose eating and drinking places. I can come and filter to say just in Pennsylvania. And I don't want any of the line cooks or any of the delivery people. I want, say, like franchise owners. So I would come in and select this title here. And I believe I have, not administrative, but what would be a good, let's say I want to go for marketing. So this is marketing people for restaurants based in Pennsylvania. And if I want to find bigger restaurants, I typically slide up the employee count and slide up the revenue. All right, so that's the simple filtering here for a persona. Those same 5 filters that you'll see when you do an ABM. Next step here will allow me to save this persona. So in this persona here, I went after Pennsylvania. If I wanted to save this persona as, Penn restaurants, and then I can come back and let's just put this in my folder. This is now saved as one of my personas. So I did Pennsylvania. If I want to come back and find those same people, but let's say in Washington, I can just come back to my persona here. It shows me what I selected. And I'm going to instead create another persona audience. But instead of Pennsylvania, I'm going to do one for Washington. That's where we are. And I can save that one next. So this allows you to, kind of hand segment your individual lists either by title seniority, the department, or location. All right, I know we got last couple here. Last thing we'll do is the lookalike audience. The one thing I'll speak to, this audience is created just like all the rest of them, either from your own list or from an existing list. The unique thing with our lookalike modeling is that we look at both the firmographic information like industry, title, role, department, and sales volume, but we also factor in household income level, education level, and the location. So we bring in some of the demographic information to help hone in on the actual people that look alike as well. So do the businesses look alike is the first priority. Second priority is the people looking like the other folks.